Welcome to Saxon Math Intermediate 5. Today we're doing lesson 15, talking about making a multiplication table. Our objectives for today: after this lesson you should be able to use a multiplication table to find the product of two numbers, identify and use the commutative property of multiplication, the zero property of multiplication, and the identity property of multiplication, and construct a multiplication table. Some review from last time. We talked about missing numbers in subtraction. Remember, if the first number in your subtraction problem is missing, you add. If the second or third number is missing, you subtract. So let's take a look at how to use a multiplication table. Here is a multiplication table. You can notice that we have the numbers 0 through 12 on the top and also along the side here. So those will be our numbers that we're using to multiply. And the way we do that is kind of like the game Battleship, where you use letters and numbers in a grid to point out a spot on the game board. So let's try this. 2 times 3. So I know you probably know what 2 times 3 is, but here's how it works on a multiplication table. So the first number is a 2, so let's highlight the 2 row on our multiplication table. And the second number is a 3, so let's highlight the 3 column. And where the 2 lines cross is our answer. So our answer in this case would be 6. Let's try another one. Let's try 7 and 4, so 4 times 7. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to highlight the 4 and the 7, and where they cross, 28, is our answer. Let's do another one. And this time we're doing 9 and 5. So 9 times 5, we're going to highlight the 9 row and highlight the 5 column. And where they cross is our answer, 45. We'll do one more. This time I'll wait and see if you can find the answer before I give it. So we're going to do a 12 times 11. So go ahead and look at the chart and see if you can find 12 times 11 on there. I'll give you a second. So hopefully you were able to find the answer by doing this. Going across the 12 and down the 11 and finding that the answer is 132. Now, I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter what order you put your numbers that you're multiplying in. So say we're still doing 12 times 11, but this time I go across on the 11, and before I went across on the 12, and down on the 12, and then I'll use a different color to show you what I did the first time. I went across on the 12 and down on the 11. So both, no matter what order you go in, both of them show 132. And that's due to something we're going to talk about on the next slide. So what I just showed you at the end on that multiplication table is called the commutative property of multiplication. That means changing the orders of the factors. Remember, factors are the numbers that we're multiplying together, and the product is the answer in a multiplication problem. So changing the orders of those factors does not change your product. Here's another example. 3 times 5 and 5 times 3 both equal 15. It doesn't matter what order you put the numbers in. That's the commutative property. The zero property of multiplication is kind of easy to remember. Any number times 0 is 0. So whether it's 15 times 0 is 0, or even 0 times 129 is also 0. No matter how big the other number is, your answer is always 0 if you multiply by 0. And the third property, the identity property of multiplication, it should be identity, not identify. That should be a T. The identity property of multiplication means that any number times 1 stays the same. So 23 times 1 is 23, 1 times 408 is 408. The other number just doesn't change. That's all for your lesson. Make sure you do your practice problems, post any questions so we can talk about them next time. And your next math assignment will be a test, so we'll see you after that for lesson 16.